So you're building a custom vehicle and now you're at a point where you have to decide what you're going to do with your engine. You're either going to probably stick with the original engine, or you're going to go ahead and purchase a good running used engine. Or you also have the option of going ahead and selecting the right crate motor for your vehicle. Well, when it comes to selecting a crate motor, there's a lot that goes into it. There's a lot of benefits, there's a lot of key factors that you're going to have to consider when determining which crate engine is right for your application. And these are things that a lot of people don't think about before they jump in, and we want to make sure that we're giving you all the information you need up front to make an educated purchase from us, Summit Racing Equipment. One of the things you may not realize is there's a lot of benefits to installing a crate motor in your vehicle, especially if it's a custom build and you're not worried about it being a numbers matching vehicle. For starters, the cost is usually the same or could actually be less than if you were going to go ahead and build an engine from scratch, meaning that you were going to go ahead and take your original engine or buy a used engine and do a complete rebuild and turn it into something that exactly what you want for your application. The other thing you get is you actually get a dyno-proven combination, meaning that that combination that you purchase has already been dynoed many times over to determine exactly how much power it's going to make and the type of power band it's going to operate in. The third thing is you get all new components for the most part, other than the block. In most cases, you're going to find that most engine manufacturers use a remanufactured core that is of good quality. It goes through a lot of stringent testing to make sure it is of good quality. One of the other things that's very important is that if you buy a fully dressed engine, you'll get like a fully tuned motor, meaning that it's already going to have the distributor in it, it's going to have a carburetor on it, a fuel pump in some cases, and all that's going to be tuned, ready to go. All you do is drop it in, connect the fuel line, some wires, and your cooling system, and that engine's ready to fire up. And the last thing, and probably one of the most important things out there, is that it comes with a complete warranty. Meaning that if anything goes wrong with that engine, it may be a year, 2 years, 3 years down the road. As long as you did everything that that manufacturer suggested for the installation of that engine, proper break-in, documented certain things, they're going to go ahead and cover it under warranty, just like you were buying a new car. The one thing you're going to notice when you go to make your selection for whatever engine you decide to go with is that there's going to be a lot of different options available for your vehicle application in most cases. Especially if you're using one of the more common platforms, small block Ford, small Chevy, big block Chevy, engines of that type. What you're really going to have to decide right out the gate is what style of engine is right for my application. What I mean by that is that, am I in the market for a short block? Am I in the market for a long block? Or am I in the market for a fully dressed, complete engine from head to toe? The first engine we're going to cover here right now is a short block. So we're going to talk about the features that accompany a short block and everything that you're going to need to purchase to go ahead and complete that short block from beginning to end. So what is a short block? Well, a short block basically is just a reconditioned block that's going to include a rotating assembly. Rotating assembly meaning it's going to go ahead and have pistons, rods, and a crankshaft already installed in it. In most cases, that combination is going to be balanced. I mean, in fact, I can say that in all cases it will be balanced. One of the biggest obstacles with a short block is that it's going to require a lot of extra accessories and build time to go ahead and put it together, meaning that it doesn't really come with anything other than what I just mentioned. And so you're going to have to start from top to bottom with this build, meaning that you're going to have to go out and have to select a camshaft, try to determine which cam is right for your combination, which heads are right for your situation. You're going to have to go ahead and purchase an ignition system, an intake manifold. You're going to have to try to determine what carburetor is right. You're going to need a water pump, and it just list goes on and on and on. You're also going to need things like a fuel pump, an oil pan. You're going to have to go ahead and select a flex plate or flywheel or harmonic balancer. And you're going to need all the front end accessories as well, as with most engines. I mean, you're going to need pulleys, brackets, things of that nature, especially if you're not reusing what you originally had, or this engine is a completely different platform from what was originally in the vehicle and doesn't match up to those accessories that were originally in that existing vehicle. And so what I'm trying to get at here is that this can actually get really expensive. And what I mean by that is that by the time you add all these things up, what you have to calculate is how long did it take me to go ahead and assemble it on top of it all, and on top of that, how much of what I did is really covered under warranty. The reality is that if you purchase a short block, that the short block itself is the only thing that's covered under warranty, meaning that, you know, if the bearings go bad, if you have a problem with the connecting rods or you break a piston or something of that nature, odds are it'll be covered, but the rest of those accessories will not be. And so it could really be counterproductive cost-wise if you decide to go this route. The next engine platform I would like to talk about are long blocks. And what is a long block? Well, A long block is basically your short block, except that it includes a lot more of the components already installed on it. A lot of the hard parts, a lot of the tough stuff to install, that is usually an obstacle for a lot of people. And those include the cylinder heads will already be on the engine, the camshaft will usually already be in it. It's going to include an oil pan, balancer, and valve covers in some cases, not all. Really look at the details of that engine before you make that purchase to determine that. Don't assume they are included. Some also include a water pump. I have seen quite a few engines out there that do include a water pump that are considered to be a long block. And generally they also have a horsepower and torque rating associated with them, some sort of dyno proven results that will accompany that specific engine. I will also tell you that some do and some don't include an intake manifold. A lot of different manufacturers have a different, how should I put it, a different definition of what a long block is, meaning that some people's long block do include valve covers and intake manifold and things of that nature, others do not. And so you got to really do your research and do your homework on figuring out what's included with the specific long block that you're interested in. The last crate engine type I want to talk about are fully dressed crate engines. And what that usually means is that that engine is dressed from head to toe with the fuel system usually already installed on it, or the fuel delivery system, that is. Meaning that it's probably already going to have the carburetor on it or an EFI system. And what's wonderful about that is that the EFI system that's been installed on that fully dressed crate motor is usually going to be accompanied with a computer that matches it. Meaning that it's already been tuned, ready to go, ready to install in your vehicle with just a hookup of a few wires in the fuel system. And so a lot of times a fully dressed crate engine is the best option for a lot of car builders out there, just from a simplicity standpoint. The other wonderful thing is that it's already going to be dyno tuned. It's ready to go. It's going to be accompanied with a dyno sheet. A dyno sheet is going to tell you everything there is to know about that engine, about how it made its power, what its peak power points were, and things of that nature. So there's no questioning on what you actually received in the box. The only downfall is, in most cases, that much like the other two motors that we talked about, is that it's probably not going to go ahead and include those front drive accessories that we seem to need with any engine build, depending on whether we're going from same to same as far as engine types go or not in the specific vehicle we're building. There are a few that do include them. Some of the GM crate motors I've noticed do include serpentine kits that include a new alternator and a power steering pump and even air conditioning compressors in some cases. And so that's something to consider as well, because as we know, if you want to go ahead and put a custom accessory drive on the front of the engine, that can get very expensive, especially when you get into some of these billet serpentine kits that are out there. And the other thing is that in most cases that your fully dressed engine will probably include a water pump and a fuel pump and an air cleaner. Some do. I will tell you in most situations they do, but there are a few out there that do not. One of the last things I like to talk about today are all the little incidentals that go along with installing a crate engine in your vehicle. For starters, you're going to need a lot of hardware to go ahead and complete the installation. Mainly, especially if you purchase just a basic long block or even a short block, you're going to need intake manifold bolts, oil pan bolts, timing cover bolts, and if it required cylinder heads, you're going to need cylinder head hardware as well. And a lot of times we like to buy nicer hardware than what came from the factory. And so we probably want to go with maybe a set of ARP bolts, which can get pretty expensive because they're made out of nice quality steel, whether it be chromoly steel or stainless steel. So that's one thing to think about. The other thing is you're going to need gaskets as well. Gasket kits can range anywhere from $40 to $100 depending on what gaskets you need and what you decide to use. You're also going to need ignition components like a distributor, spark plug wires, and spark plugs, and that could add up to a couple $100s as well. So all this stuff needs to be considered before purchasing a crate engine for your application. Thanks for watching this latest episode where we're your #1 source for crate engines and crate engine accessories.